How's it going, everyone? Lumia City Cards here today with another grade reveal. This is a CGC grade reveal, my first one ever, and we have 37 cards that came back and 2 which came back ungraded. We will go over those at the very end, and I'm saving the absolute best card in the submission for last. But let's get started. So these are a little bit more difficult to do grade reveals with. These yellow backs mean pristine. So I can't really hide the fact that this card got a pristine 10. In English, Raging Bolt SIR pristine 10. This is awesome. Pristine 10s for modern typically are equivalent to PSA 10 prices, despite being more strict on their centering, condition, surface, etc. So I do think that this is cooler than a PSA 10, but it only fetches around the same price, if not a little less, sometimes a little more. It's just a person-to-person bias, but with this being recorded right before Card City Expo, a very large show over in Fredericksburg, PSA is about to close their value submissions, which means we are about to get a lot more influx into CGC and other grading companies. So this card looks pretty clean on the back. I don't see any noticeable whitening or anything. There's a Mega Latiasi X SIR. This, amazing art. I think by far the best art from Mega Evolution. But then again, it's a Kirigawa, and a Kirigawa is my favorite. It got a Gem Mint 10. That's awesome. Gem Mint 10s usually go for a little bit more than raw, but not as much as a PSA 10 would. Right here, we can see there's a little whitening dot up there, and another small one up there, and then tiny, tiny ones on the bottom left and right. This submission was done partially to test CGC and see a lot of different cards and how they treat them. This Dark Gyarados, clearly not perfect, but it looks pretty dang good. The holo, no clear scratches. It got a CGC 9. That's pretty nice. These vintage cards in a 9 are definitely worth more than near mint. It's when you get into that CGC 8 territory that it's like, well, maybe now we're verging on, just the same quality as near mint. Here we have a little bit of whitening in the top left, a little bit in the top right, a little bit of scuff in the bottom right. The edges, pretty decent. This is another Dark Gyarados. Again, the holo looks very clean to me. I'm not using a bright light, and I would highly recommend if you ever look over vintage cards, use a bright light like your phone flashlight directly on the holo from different angles to try and see any scratching, because scratching will always knock off points in grading, regardless of where you send it. This Dark Gyarados got a CGC 8. So this is probably about the cost of grading back, which all of these were graded at the bulk tier. I sent these in back in February. So February, this is being recorded in late May. It's about a 3-month turnaround time from then. I'd expect it to be reaching around 6 months if you submit right now. Here we have a pretty clean back. Yeah, I'm not seeing any whitening or anything. It is a Salamence EX. One thing to note, this is pretty clearly bottom heavy. This was a card that, it's off center. You send this to PSA, it's probably getting an 8 just because of how off center it is. But I wanted to test it, just see how they fare with centering when a card has a really clean back. This got a 9.5. So as you can tell, there's different levels. You've got your pristine 10s, your 10s, your 9s, your 8s, and your 9.5s. This wasn't centered well enough to get a 10. Wasn't centered bad enough to get a 9 because everything else was nice. So the centering on it probably got an 8, whereas the other grades on the card got a 10. That put it down to a 9.5. The way CGC and a lot of other grading companies like Beckett do it is they give a score to every component: edges, corners, surface, and centering. You got a little whitening down at the bottom left there. A Swampert from Ruby and Sapphire. This may be one of my favorite cards in this submission, not because of the grade, just the art and the holo. I don't think I can sell this one. this is so nostalgic for me. And it got a 9. I'm happy with that. I'm definitely keeping this Swampert. But yeah, every grading company uses a scale where they look at all of the different qualities of the card. Here we've got a vintage back Japanese. I don't see any whitening on the back, which is pretty good. It's Brock from the City Gym deck. This one is the City Gym deck. There's no symbol at the bottom right for the rarity. It would normally be common, uncommon, or rare, but these City Gym decks don't have them, and that makes them a bit more rare. Also, nice little swirl there. And this one got a 6. I've looked this card over, and I'm not sure why it got a 6. It looks like there's a little bit of an edge lift on that top right, but that's the only thing that I can see. So potentially CGC is the same as PSA, where if there's a dent or like an edge bend, they'll just give it a 6. Otherwise, this card very clean. I love the little swirl. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I might crack it. I might just, keep it. I like to keep the lowest grade I get out of the first submission. I have a Gengar V, just the regular art, in a PSA 4, because I didn't see a tiny little crease that it had in it. So I keep it as a reminder, hey, you got to be very thorough. We have a Noivern V. Love this artwork. And it got an 8.5. I remember noting when I sent it in that on the top right over here, you can see there's a little bit of an edge lift. And I wanted to test, how does CGC treat edge lifts? Apparently, this card, well-centered. I mean, it's a little bit right heavy. It looks good in every other way, but it has that little edge lift right there. That will knock you down, which is a good thing to know. The other thing is, stacking these, a little difficult when there's so many different subgrades. But I do like that the subgrades provide more of an indicator as to what exactly went wrong or where it falls. Pretty clean back. I'm not seeing anything wrong with it. This is a Mega Blastoise EX from Evolutions. Love the art on this as well. This one, I didn't see anything noticeably wrong with it. Maybe some light hollow scratching, but something I can't really see on this camera. We got a mint 9. Overall, happy with that. I do think for a card within the past decade, 2016, I would hope if I'm sending it in, I'm getting better than a 9, a 9.5 or a Gem Mint 10. But hey, we take a 9. Here we've got a Pristine back, so I'm not even going to cover the front. Looks great. It is a Pristine 10 Mega Rayquaza from Celebrations. I have a lot of this card. I think it is so sick, and once I heard the spoiler that there was going to be a Mega Ray set, I knew I needed to collect some of these before the price shot up again. This is another one that just, the gold embossed logo with the card. And I do like how CGC has done their newer slabs. They're a lot more translucent than the PSA ones, so you can see the label, the card. I kind of like it. Again, not a CGC shill, not any other shill, but I do think tag slabs look the best. I just don't like how brittle they are, and I don't like how they grade sometimes. I've had some tag slabs that clearly have something wrong with them come back a 9 or a 10, and not that I've personally graded, but that I've seen, and I'm like, I just don't agree with that. Another Pristine back, so I'm not even gonna hide it. It is a Pristine 10 Japanese Mega Venusaur full art. I sent this one in because it had nearly 50-50 centering everywhere. I saw no problems with it, and I wanted to see, will this get a Pristine 10? And it will. It seems like Pristine 10s for well-centered Japanese are going to be pretty common. This isn't worth much more, but it was for me to test. And I would say that's a successful test. Another Pristine back. So, I'm getting pretty lucky with these right now. You should not expect Pristines as often as you get PSA 10s. They are more strict. However, CGC 10s, I saw a video by shout out Freddy's Cards that compared the PSA 10 versus the CGC 10 rate. And it looks like they're fairly similar across a lot of different spectrums of age. This was a Pristine 10 Flareon VMAX. This is something where I think you send this to PSA, it gets a PSA 10. It is top heavy, but because there's no clear top border, it's harder to tell. You can see, and for me, it's just notable by the text. The text is close to the bottom. But this is the kind of card where, with no top border, as long as everything else is good, it just looks good. So the eye appeal on VMAXs do really well. I do think CGC has something to be noted by having so many different levels of Pristine 10, 10, 9, 8, and then half grades. But I do like that PSA, it's like, you get a 10 or you get a 9 or you get an 8. It is simple. But this, for my little brain that loves data, makes me happy. The one complaint I do have is, you see there's a little speck of dust in there. The way they seal these, it's not on the front, it's inside the slab. There's dust all over them when you get them back. And I found that one of my, see there's dust inside the slab there. CGC really needs to fix that. One of my cards has like a little line of dust on the front of the label. I was like, no. So here we have a Vaporeon VMAX. Again, one that you would think this is going to get a Pristine 10. It is a little bit left heavy, but it got a mint 9. And so I've looked this card over. I can't quite figure out why I got a mint 9. My best guess is, and it's hard to show on camera, but you can see that top edge is leaning a little bit forward. It looks like the card may have like a slight curl towards the front where it's concave this way. And I think that may actually affect the grade at CGC, whereas that does not affect the grade at PSA. Still need to do more testing with that because that's just a theory right now, but it's an interesting one. Here we have a vintage Japanese back. This is the Band Grimer. A great card. Really hard to come by these in super clean condition. And it got a mint 10. This is one of the cards that makes it all worth it. This card in a Gem Mint 10 last sold for $600. I probably picked this card up for somewhere between $30 and $70. I don't remember at the time. I know that card would not get a 10 at PSA. Solely because it's a little bit canted and PSA is being so strict with vintage right now. You send that to them, they're going to give it an 8 or 9. Just because they can find something very small wrong with it. And this is where my theory comes in. CGC is the way to go for vintage. Yes, they look at a lot more aspects of it, but they're also more detailed. You have your subgrades, not on the card, but in the half grades. Here we have a Mewtwo V-Star. This is another one that I was like, it's not perfectly centered. It's centered pretty well, but let's send it to CGC and see how it does. And it got a Gem Mint 10. Not a huge gain, but worth a bit more. Another English back. We have a little bit of whitening on the bottom left. Tiny, nope, that was just dust. My bad. I don't see any whitening on the back, actually. Ooh, Carmine. I've graded a lot of these, English and Japanese. This one is pretty well centered. I don't see anything wrong with it. It got a Gem Mint 10. I love this card. I think the texture work in Japanese is better, but just the colors on it. The camera doesn't even do it justice. It pops in person. Another clean back. Blaziken VMAX. I have this card in my PC. I genuinely just think it's one of the funniest cards with May clutching on to Blaziken's leg hair. as he bounds around. This one looked really good to me. Well centered. It's a VMAX. I want to see what they would do. I got a gem mint 10. I don't know what kept this card from getting a pristine 10, but there must have been something wrong. Maybe on the texture, but again, it has that slight bend forward at the top. So my running theory is they do care about those little bends. It's not like a bend as in the card is bent, but like the card is concave, and I think they might care about that. PSA, they don't give a crap. Ooh. So I'm sure you can tell on this, it is crimped. That top right there is very crimped. Also, sorry for the meowing. Miles has become a cat that just attaches himself to you, and it's very sweet, but it makes it very hard to record these videos as he would be all over the table right now. This is a Magikarp from Detective Pikachu, which got a mint 9 error. I sent this in because of the crimp error. I just thought it was really neat. And I know some crimp errors can be debunked and stuff, but like, I don't know. It looked real to me. And I think it's a cool card. I believe this is another error card. Yes, you can tell from the back, this thing is really bottom heavy. I sent this in. It is just a Starmie from Rising Rivals. You can see at the bottom here, that little black dot. That is the alignment dot. And since you can see part of it, it got a minor miscut. It's not a clean card, so it got a 5.5. But it's an error, and I think that's really neat. I'm gonna put that down here. Moving along, we have another English back. This one, very dusty. Very dusty, but also not perfectly clean. You can see white dot, white dot. There's whitening on 3 of the corners. It's not perfect. That's because it's a vintage card. You can see a little swirl right in front of Raichu's face there. I think that's really cool. This looked decent to me. I want to see, vintage cards, how they do. There probably is a little hollow scratch or something, as there often is on these. It got a mint 8. I'm not mad about it. I think if it got, a 9, it'd be good. But I think it's a justifiable grade. It's not a perfect card, but it looks cool. And that swirl, I think it's neat. Up next, another pretty clean back. Again, sorry for all this dust. It's just how they come. We have an Enzorua Pokemon Center promo. I thought it looked pretty nice. There's like maybe 1 or 2 specks of whitening, and it got a 9.5. Again, this card not perfectly centered, a little bit of whitening, but it has that bend. It is a little bit convex, or concave, sorry. I do think they care about that. A 9.5 on a modern card is equivalent pretty much to raw price. A 10's a little more, a 9 is a little less than raw price, because like if you get a 9, that means there's something wrong with it. This guy looks good. I don't see any major whitening. A Charizard GX from Detective Pikachu. This card is so weird. You can see the like veins and the realistic texture on Charizard in this. Not a card that you like. Definitely not a Pokemon you want to see, and definitely not a card that I particularly like. And he got an 8.5. I'm not sure why he got an 8.5. I didn't see like any major hollow scratching. I didn't take notes for this submission either because it was just to test out CGC, but it went so well that I wanted to, do a whole grade reveal for it. I really don't know. There's probably like a decently sized scratch or something somewhere, but you live and you learn from some of them you just say, okay, I believe you. Man, so much dust. This card, pretty clean. A little whitening at the top left. Nothing on the other corners. Nothing on the edges. This was a Stellar Crown Bulbasaur IR. This card was worth probably half the price as when I sent it in. So it's doubled. Not to mention it got a Gem Mint 10. I'm very happy about that. This card, so cute. The Pidgeys and just chilling with the Bulbasaur. Definitely a very good grade for that card. That's what I expected to get on it. It wasn't perfect, but it had a shot at a pristine 10 or a 10, so I just sent it. Don't see anything wrong with the back of this card. Yes, that is just dust. Jolteon, no set symbol. It has a tiny bit of silvering on the front. There's like a single spot of silvering down here. You can see that. Yeah. But other than that, it looks really good. It got a Gem Mint 10. That's incredible. This card, I think last sold in a Gem Mint 10 was around $900 for the no set symbol error. It's honestly like you get one or two of the vintage cards to hit big, and I think this is justified on a 10. Then you make your money back for the whole submission. I will say, one of the things about CGC that makes them a little more difficult to grade with than PSA is they take your money up front. PSA, you don't pay for the grading fee until you finish the grading process. So when they ship it back to you, that's when they charge you. CGC charges you when you place the order, right at the very beginning. So you will be giving them a loan until they finish grading your card. We have an EVEX from Prismatic. This is another one that I thought looked really nice, but it was just a little bit too off-center, top to bottom, to get a PSA 10. It was 44% to 56%. So I sent it to CGC. I got a Gem Mint 10. Happy with that. Again, I think this card looks really cool. The EV SIR from Prismatic, I think is undervalued because it is the cheapest by far and is such a cute card. Here we have a little bit of whitening at the top there, a tiny bit at the bottom right there. We have another Jolteon Jungle Hollow. It has the exact same little piece of silvering right down here. And this one got a Gem Mint 10. So this one is arguably a little bit worse than the other Jolteon. This Jolteon, the no set symbol error, I think is a tiny bit better on the whitening side. As you can see, this left one has that single small speck at the top there, and then a tiny bit on the bottom right. The other one, I didn't see anything noticeable. It still got a Gem Mint 10. So maybe this one, the no set symbol, had hollow scratching, and this one didn't. I don't know. But the regular Jungle Hollow in a Gem Mint 10 is at like $600. So again, you hit one of them in a 10, you make your money back. However, this is where people will describe the junk slabs from. If I send in a bunch of cards here and I got a bunch of 7s, those are junk slabs. Those are slabs that I sent in and spent somebody's time, spent some plastic, spent some money, and I'm not getting anything back out of it. Here we have another pretty clean back. Yes, it looks like there's some whitening in there, but I think that's dust inside the slab again. Annoying. Yeah, that's a little bit of dust inside. This is a Mega Charizard EX from Evolutions. Looks good, a little bottom heavy. Other than that, don't see anything wrong with it. It got a 9.5. On a decade-old card, that's worth it. Especially the bigger cards. I found grading more expensive cards leaves you with more margin on a 9.5 or a 10, whereas the cheaper the card, the less people care unless it gets a pristine 10. Same with PSA. Here we have a little bit of whitening at the top left, a little bit of whitening top right, but nothing crazy. Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. Love this artist. Again, Akira Igawa. I do think the Japanese texture work does it more justice, but this one got a 9. That is a complete bust. A modern SIR in a 9 is worth probably less than if it was raw. But it's, again, understandable. There were 2 small white nicks. It probably had some small surface flaw. So here we have a little bit of whitening on the top edge, a little bit of whitening on the bottom left, a little bit of whitening on the bottom right, and then a single dot on the top left. So I'm guessing this is a vintage card. Yup, this is a base set Venusaur. I stand by the fact that you should grade base set Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard. They're staple cards. If they're at all clean, get them graded. If they're, and you want to keep them. I mean, if you don't care about grading, don't grade them. But I thought it looked pretty decent. There's a little bit of like issue with that top edge. It got an 8.5. Thank you, Miles. This card actually is worth more in an 8.5 than it is near mint raw. That kind of surprised me. But that's what makes me think an 8 is the cutoff for vintage being worth more in a slab or raw. Another pretty clean back. Raichu and Alolan Raichu. PSA doesn't do well with tag teams that have a little bit of centering issue where you can see that bottom border looks thicker than the top one, even if they're actually closer because like the black line is shifted up or something. It's not the same. The Raichu Alolan Raichu got a 9. Again, probably something small with an edge, maybe like a little edge lift or some scratching. I feel like these Sun and Moon border cards, it is harder to see certain things wrong with them. And now we have a pristine 10. We love to see that. Not even going to cover it. It is a pristine 10 gold Mew EX. This is the hyper rare, not the UPC promo, so it's not metal. Regardless, the gold embossing with the gold, I think it looks so good. This looked to me to be pretty well centered, maybe a little bit bottom heavy, but definitely happy to have that in a pristine 10. Pretty clean back. Don't see anything wrong with it, just a lot of dust. This is a Celebrations Blastoise. This one was a little bit too left heavy to send to PSA based on their strictness, so I sent it to CGC. And given that everything else about it looked decent, I was hoping for a 10, and I got a 10. This card does have a very slight concave nature to it, so I don't know, they didn't care on this one, and I'm fine with that. Good news is our 10 pile and our 9 pile are the highest so far. Our pristine 10s, we've got 5 of them, and we're gonna add another right here. Looks great on the back, don't see anything wrong with it. We got a CGC pristine 10 of the gold Pikachu EX. Gold and gold, it goes well together. I mean, I think this label looks so much better than any PSA label. I think it looks better than the tag labels. It looks better than the Beckett labels, besides the black label. But I think the black and gold, it just looks good, especially on a gold card. I don't have anything more to say on that. It's just nice. All right, here we have a pretty clean back. Little white dot at the bottom right. Tinier one at the top right. This is a Gloom from Obsidian Flames. This card is really, really hard to grade in a PSA 10. I think it's also really hard to grade in a CGC 10. As you can tell, it's off center. It usually has whitening. This one looked like it had the least whitening out of one that I've seen, and it got a 7. I'm not sure why it got a 7. I haven't looked this card over too closely, but my assumption would be there's a dent or there's a minor issue of some kind. I can't see it. If you see it, let me know in the comments. But again, it's a little concave. I don't know. Anyways, we got the whole gambit now pretty much. 5.5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10, pristine 10. Only thing we're missing, a 7.5 and a 6.5. And we're not doing that here. We got another pristine. Looks great on the back, no whitening. What I've realized is no whitening, you're more likely to get a pristine. If there's any whitening, you're probably getting a Gem Mint 10. And we got a pristine 10 EV. absolutely amazing card. This is one that I might keep for myself. I don't know. I have a soft spot for this card. I just think it's so cute. Here we have a pretty good card. A little bit of whitening at the bottom left there. A little bit of whitening on the bottom right there. Definitely more than a modern card. I wouldn't send this in if it were modern. So I'm gonna guess it's a vintage card. Yeah, Mega Gardevoir EX from Primal Clash. So not quite vintage, only 10 years ago, but it had a decent bit of whitening, and it got an 8.5. I think that's justified based on the whitening it had. It was similar to the 8.5 Venusaur, and I'm not mad. This was a test submission, so I'm glad I'm learning from that. And now, for the last card, a Pristine 10 vintage Japanese back. I was shocked by this. This is a Pristine 10 Misty's Tears. A banned Japanese card in a Pristine 10. I'm so happy with this. This is a Pop 14. The last sale was a few months ago for $1,300. This card makes the whole submission worth it, and is pretty much what I'm going to base future CGC submissions on. Take vintage cards that look clean and send them in. If you get a CGC 10, you're happy. If you get a Pristine 10, you're over the moon. If you get a 9, if you get an 8, it happens. Train your eye to be better next time. But this card, this one's what makes the whole submission worth it. And now, for the two cards they didn't grade. I sent these in as errors. They said, service unavailable, ineligible type. And I said, okay, I guess they don't recognize these as errors. This is a Ducklet reverse holo from White Flare. It's supposed to have a Pokeball on it. There's no Pokeball. So it's missing the Pokeball. And this one, they put a white piece of paper over the front, but it's the exact same thing. Actually, I haven't looked at this. Unable to verify lines 38, 39. So this is my 38th and 39th card. So the reason is they're unable to verify that this is an error. There's no Pokeball on it, but I guess maybe there's a way to like get rid of the Pokeball, maybe acetone or something. I don't know, but these are genuine errors. The guy who I got these from opened the packs and said that this pack had no Pokeballs. And, you know, I'm going to trust the man. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you tuning into these videos. The CGC grade reveals, this one was very fun. As you can see, a wide variety of stuff and a lot of things for me to learn and hopefully for you to learn as well. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.